I heard him say awa, that soft sound that twists like a knife now. The chest smelled like cedar and mothballs when he lifted its rusted hinges. Under tax documents marked 1998. Beneath that lock of my hair, labeled in her perfect cursive. We uncovered the tiny pink shoes you weren't supposed to see. The cardboard dust sticks to my palms as we peel back the flaps of another box. Mom's storage room smells of mothballs and wilted rose. Scent of memories packed away. My husband's grunt makes me turn. He's wrestling a carved chest from beneath a tower of Christmas ornaments, his forehead gleaming under the bare bulb. Pause one's look at this, he murmurs, lifting a Ziploc baggie. Inside, a curl of chestnut hair. Hair, the label in her precise, cursive pause one's I sink to the concrete floor. Knees cracking. The chest exhales childhood when he pries at open baby rings still circling nothing. Milky teeth in tiny envelopes. My fingertip traces the scalloped edge of my newborn portrait. Normal grief claws up my throat. Pause one's then my nails snag on a thicker bag. Pause one's fingernail clippings. Yellowed, bitten edges from when I chewed them raw during second-grade math tests. Beneath it, something leathery and brown umbilical stump, labeled with a heart. My shoulders lock. Pause one stop. I whisper as my husband lifts another. Pause one's but my hands disobey. They plunge deeper. Plastic rasps against plastic. Baby shoes. Pacifiers. A folded Huggies diaper, crusted and double-bagged. The ammonia stench punches through the zipper seal. Pause one's pause one's pause one. My pulse thrums in my wrists. Between a Raggedy Ann doll and my first-grade spelling bee ribbon, the final bag glistens. Pause one's blood rusts the cotton pad inside. Pause one's my scream ricochets off tool racks and water heaters. My husband staggers back, retching. We don't touch. Don't breathe. The bulb flickers above the thing she saved me first, womanhood, fossilized in betrayal. Pause one's 5 lifetimes pass. Pause one, the light burns steady now. Bright enough to see the folded note tucked beneath the pad. It says, the scream left my throat raw, echoing off the storage room walls like something alive. That Ziploc bag on the floor between us held more than a decades-old maxi. Pad it held my mother's ghost, whispering secrets that made my skin crawl. I kept waiting to wake up. Pause one's my husband finally moved first, grabbing a dusty mover's blanket with shaking hands, covered it like a corpse. The fabric settled, but the image didn't. That tiny rust stain bloomed behind my eyelids every time I blinked. Pause one's maybe. He swallowed hard. Maybe it's not yours. His voice cracked on the lie. We both remembered the tiny pink rose pattern, stamped on the plastic backing the same brand Mom bought me the summer I turned 13. The summer shed pressed that pastel box into my hands with a smile that didn't match. This, pause one's my knees hit concrete as I scrambled backward from the chest. Sentimental treasures glinted in the overhead light. My ballet recital tutu folded next to a baggie with my rotten baby tooth. But now, every memory turned sinister. The tiny pearl earrings from 6th grade graduation. Had she plucked them from my trash after I lost one at the beach? The Polaroid of me blowing out birthday candle shad. She saved the cake napkin, too. Pause once I retched into an empty storage tub, acid burning my throat. How many times had she hugged me with those hands, cooked my meals, braided my hair while humming off-key show tunes, all while hoarding pieces of me like some kind of curator of filth. Pause one's the storage room air grew thick, pressing down until I clawed at my sweater collar. My husband's hand brushed my shoulder. I flinched like head burned me. His eyes held the same desperate question. Pause one's pause one, but neither of us touched the chest. Not when I spotted the corner of another Ziploc beneath the baby shoes. Not when I recognized my 8th grade handwriting on the label. Pause one, the blanket shifted. Pause one, a single baggie slid into view. The scream curdled in my throat and turned into something jagged, something that clawed its way out of me, because there it wasp-crusted brown on yellowed cotton, pressed flat inside a Ziploc bag labeled in her perfect cursive first womanhood, 1988. I dropped it like it burned. Like it. Pause ones all morning. We'd been smiling through the heartache. Found my baby curls tied with a pink ribbon. My tiny tooth like a pearl in felt. Each memory wrapped in tissue paper. Safe. Soft. Pause ones then, the smell hit me. Faint ammonia, clinging to the baggie of clipped fingernails. The curled black stump of my umbilical cord. Waxy under plastic. When I lifted the first diaper stiff, double-bagged me husband gagged and turned away. I almost laughed then, hysterical and thin. Pause ones but now. My knees cracked against the concrete floor as I scrambled back away from that soiled pad. Away from the violation. My fingers dug into the dust until they found purchase. Pause ones close it. The words came out guttural, wrong. Close the lid. Pause ones he didn't argue. Didn't look at me. Just slammed the chest shut. His knuckles white. Pause one. The silence after was worse. Thick with questions we'd choke on forever. The room pulsed with it all, the love letters she never sent. Written in dead skin and fingernails and blood. I pressed my palms into my eyes until colors exploded, trying to unsee. Pause one's the worst part. I still wanted to crawl into her lap, to let her rock me and whisper, but her arms were ash now, and all she left me was a ghost that hoarded pieces of me like relics, like trophies. The cardboard dust stings my nostrils as my fingers brush against another plastic bag. For 20 minutes, we've danced between sweetness and madness-tinny bronze baby shoes beside a Ziploc full of my infant fingernails. The satin edges of my first birthday dress folded neatly over. Was that my umbilical stump? Pause one's Hank stops humming behind me when my hands freeze. Pause one's this bag glows pearlescent white under the storage bulb. Like the others, her label sticks with surgical precision. My thumbprint smudges the date, June 17th, 1996, exactly 3 weeks after she took me shopping for training bras with cartoon daisies. Pause one, the seal hisses when I tear it. Pause one's not just the pad. Pause one's the shape of me, pressed into cotton. Blood rust dried into hieroglyphs, a fossil of my 6th grade, self-riding the school bus home, trying not to leak onto the vinyl seat. Shed hugged me that afternoon, whispered my little woman now while slipping this relic into her cardigan pocket when I changed in the bathroom. Pause one's 28 years. Pause one's it smells like copper and salt. Pause one's Hank's hand lands on my spine as I reach warm palms circling between my shoulder blades like he's burping our newborn again. His wedding band catches the light when he reaches to steady the chest. Pause one's that's when we see them. Pause one's tucked beneath the pad shrine. 6 Polaroids splay like a poker hand me showering at 13. Steam blurring the glass, but not enough. My senior prom dress, unzipping down goosebumped flesh. Nursing my daughter in the NICU. Nipple raw and cracked. Pause one's Christ almighty. Hank whispers, kicking the chest so hard. Ancient wood screeches against concrete. The photos scatter like roaches. Pause one's I count breaths until the overhead bulb stops swaying. 7, 8, 9. Pause one's the lack of surprise terrifies me most. How deep in my marrow I always knew. All those years of her laughing when I accused her of snooping through my diaries. Her eyes crinkling as she'd say, would I ever, sweet pea? Pause one's the last photo lands face up. Pause one. She took it the morning of her sepsis diagnosis, me bending over the bathtub to wash her hair. Terracloth robe gaping open where the tie loosened. The lock of hair almost undid methat. Soft blonde curl sealed in plastic with her looping cursive. I ran my thumb over the label as my husband smiled, misty-eyed. She loved you so much, he murmured. We hadn't cried much since the funeral. This felt sacred. Pause one's then, my fingers closed around the Ziploc, containing fingernails. Pause one's first clipping. The note read. Pause one's the enamel of my baby tooth, glinted like a tiny pearl in the next baggie. Sentiment curdled when I saw the yellowed toenail clippings beneath it. Then the umbilical stump preserved like some grisly relic. My knees hit the concrete floor. Pause one's don't. My husband warned as I reached deeper. Pause one. The plastic rustled a desiccated diaper, crust still clinging to its folds. Bile rose when I recognized the pacifier floating in another bag. The nipple chewed into rubber shrapnel. Pause once between baby's shoes and my Raggedy Ann doll. It waited. Pause one, the blood bloomed brown on the cotton pad. My own scream sounded foreign, a wounded animal noise. The baggie slipped from my shaking hands, landing face up so the iron smell punched through the plastic. Pause one's my husband, retched into an empty tub. Pause one's silence thickened like clotting blood. I stared at the thing she'd stolen, saved, while across the years she'd hugged me with those same hands. All her I'm proud of yous. Her delicate laugh during mother-daughter lunchesleys layered over this rot. Pause one, the woman who taught me modesty had catalogued every secretion. The one who sighed over my teenage rebellions had kept trophies of my helplessness. Pause one's I need bleach, I finally whispered. Pause one, but no amount of scrubbing would reach the stains spreading behind my ribs. Certainty that love had never lived in that chest. Only possession.
The human mind constructs defense mechanisms to avoid confronting certain truths about ourselves, about those who shaped us. But here, we observe trauma in its purest form, the concrete violation of biological boundaries masquerading as maternal care. Pause one's observe the pathological sentimentality. The hair, the baby teeth, ordinary keepsakes grotesquely elevated through meticulous preservation. Each Ziploc bag functions as a shrine to her compulsion to possess not just your memories, but your corporeal essence. The progression reveals motive. What begins with socially acceptable preservation escalates to cataloging developmental milestones as proof of ownership. Pause one's the critical object isn't the crusted diaper or nail clipping, it's the menstrual pad. This transforms sentimentality into a predatory act. Collecting first blood, that's trophy taking. Preserving ritual womanhood, that's eradication of privacy under the guise of documenting maturation. Pause one's her cursive labels always punctuated with hearts reveal the deepest deception, emotional grooming. She rewired your neural circuitry to interpret possession as love, boundary annihilation as intimacy. Pause one's you reacted with visceral terror, not merely to the artifacts, but to horrific dissonancy, a caretaker, documenting your biological decay as intently as your achievements. The Racine ballet slippers lying adjacent to your molar plucked from decay. That's the duality. Pause one's yet the real tragedy blooms now, in the aftermath. Every happy childhood artifact was pre-poisoned. That spelling bee ribbon, it wasn't celebrating your victory, it marked her ownership of the body that earned it.